The deep void of uncharted space was quiet. Too quiet. A scout fleet of the Galactic Empire moved cautiously, scanning every asteroid, every rogue planet, every faint signal. They were tasked with exploring the outer edge of Imperial territory, a region thought empty and harmless. Nothing could have prepared them for what they were about to see. Then it appeared. At first, the sensors detected only a faint blip, a massive energy signature unlike anything recorded in the Empire's archives. The fleet commander squinted at the readings. "Classify it," he ordered. "Impossible, sir," the lead sensor officer replied, voice tight. This doesn't match any known design. It's too large. And the power output, it's off the charts." The warship moved slowly, almost lazily, through the void. Its hull was dark, jagged, and covered in scars from countless battles. Weapons protruded from every surface. Turrets, launch tubes, and strange energy arrays bristled along its massive frame. Its sheer size dwarfed the Empire's largest cruisers. Is it human? A junior officer whispered, fear creeping into his voice. The commander shook his head. "Impossible. Human technology can't be this large. Not this advanced. Nothing in the record says it can exist." But all the evidence pointed in one direction. Alien and human analysts had studied the vessel from a distance for minutes, and every calculation power output, armor strength, propulsion matched known human designs, only massively scaled up. This was a human warship, but it was a monster, something the galaxy had never seen. The fleet moved to intercept, formation tight and weapons ready. Every officer felt a cold fear crawling through their veins. This was not a scout. This was a predator, silent but deadly. Sensors flared. The mysterious ship emitted no attack signals, no communication. It simply moved, scanning the sector as if seeking something. Its presence alone caused chaos in the Empire's communications. Channels buzzed with unconfirmed reports and frantic speculation. "Sir," the tactical officer said, "it's changing course. Directly toward Imperial colonies. They're in its path." The commander's eyes narrowed. "Confirm. Are you saying it's headed straight for civilian worlds?" "Yes, sir. Outer colonies. Undefended. It's moving at sublight speed but accelerating." The fleet tried to hail the ship. The standard Imperial transmissions bounced back, unanswered. No signals. No messages. Just movement. Fear began to spread. This was not just an unidentified vessel. This was a force of nature. Something built to survive, to endure, to destroy. The Galactic Empire had faced many threats, but nothing like this. Nothing human could move with such precision and resilience. A young officer broke the silence. "Sir, it's too big. One ship alone. It could destroy an entire fleet before reinforcements arrive." The commander remained calm, but his jaw tightened. "We need to assess before we act. Scan for weapon systems." Sensors screamed in protest. Cannons, missiles, and strange energy projectors lit up the tactical screens. Each weapon was ready, powered, and locked on targets across multiple kilometers. Every Imperial ship in the sector would be within range in minutes, and yet the warship did not fire. It didn't even slow down. It moved with terrifying purpose, like it already knew what it wanted and no one could stop it. In the command deck, officers whispered rumors. "It can't be human." "No human could build this," one muttered. "It is human," another said. "And it survived centuries of war. Every scar, every mark. Proof of battles we cannot imagine." The fleet commander made a decision. Prepare all defensive systems. Raise alert. And notify the colonies. If it intends to engage, we must be ready. Even as orders were carried out, the monster continued to move. Its trajectory led it straight toward the outermost Imperial colonies. Every sensor reading, every data point screamed danger. This was not just a ship, it was a warning. A force that could decide the fate of entire worlds in minutes. No one in the fleet had ever faced anything like it. And in that moment, the Galactic Empire understood a terrible truth. This was no ordinary human warship. It was a monster, and it was coming. The Imperial fleet moved to intercept. Officers hoped the monster would slow, turn, or reveal its purpose. But it did none of these things. It kept advancing steadily toward the outer colonies, calm, silent, and terrifying. "Open all channels," the fleet commander ordered. "Hail it. Demand identification." Messages were sent repeatedly. Imperial codes, diplomatic signals, warnings, nothing. Not a single reply. Only movement. Then the impossible happened. The ship split. From its massive hull, dozens of smaller craft deployed, moving as one. They were not independent ships. They acted in perfect coordination, like extensions of the main vessel. Weapon systems aligned instantly. Targeting arrays scanned every Imperial cruiser simultaneously. The fleet's sensors struggled to track them. Even the most advanced computers stuttered under the calculations required to predict their movements. The smaller craft were fast, precise, and coordinated. The monster at the center controlled them all. The first shots were fired. Imperial frigates were destroyed before they could return fire. Command vessels lost communication links. Supply ships exploded in series. Every attack was efficient, surgical, and devastating. The human fleet, if that is what it was, fought like a single organism. Inside the Imperial command ship, officers whispered in disbelief. "They're human?" one technician asked. The fleet commander shook his head. "They shouldn't exist. They cannot exist. But everything we are seeing says they are human and built for war." The humans did not pursue the colonies immediately. They only cleared the way, targeting ships that threatened civilians. Imperial officers began to understand the humans' intent. They were not raiders. They were not conquerors. They were guardians in their own brutal way. "Sir," the tactical officer said, voice trembling, "every strike is calculated. They are not reacting, they are planning 10 steps ahead." The Imperial commander frowned. "Then we must adapt. Focus fire. Overwhelm them." Missiles and energy beams rained down on the smaller human craft. Explosions erupted, sending debris into the void. The humans absorbed damage, repositioned, and continued to strike. One Imperial capital ship fired a full broadside. The lead human ship barely flinched. Shields flared, armor glowed, and it returned fire with devastating precision, crippling 2 Imperial frigates instantly. Kelari observers, monitoring through Imperial channels, were terrified. It's not a fleet. It's a war machine. A monster controlled by humans. The humans did not stop. Their main vessel moved forward, taking enemy fire for the smaller ships. Damaged craft pushed forward anyway, shielding weaker units. Boarding teams launched from crippled vessels, cutting directly into command ships and taking control before they could retaliate. Every Imperial admiral knew they had underestimated the humans. "They are not just fighting," one muttered. "They are rewriting the rules of war." As the battle raged, more ships appeared on sensors, human reinforcements emerging from hyperspace. Some were centuries-old vessels, battered and scarred, yet still fully operational. The monster was not alone. Entire fleets, once thought lost, were joining the battle. The Imperial fleet staggered under the sudden scale and precision. For the first time, fear replaced strategy. This was not a human fleet. It was a human war doctrine made real, efficient, relentless, and unstoppable. The outer colonies watched in awe as the humans moved through the enemy, protecting civilians and destroying threats with terrifying efficiency. The monster at the center, the enormous human warship, continued its slow, unstoppable march, commanding the smaller craft and showing the galaxy something it had never seen before. The Imperial commanders realized the truth: this was no ordinary engagement. Humanity had arrived, and when humans fight, they do not fight to lose. And the Galactic Empire would soon discover the true cost of underestimating them. The Imperial fleet tried to regroup, but every effort failed. The human warship and its smaller craft moved with precision that no Imperial tactician could predict. Every plan was countered before it could be executed. In the command deck of the flagship, officers pored over data collected from destroyed ships and debris. Scans revealed something impossible. The main vessel had survived countless battles. Its hull bore scars from weapons fire that should have shattered any human craft. Energy shields showed evidence of repeated overloading and repair. This ship had history. "Sir," a tactical officer said, pointing at the display, "this ship. It's ancient. Some of these markings indicate engagements over 100 years ago." The fleet commander studied the records in disbelief. "And it's still fully operational?" "Yes, sir. Every system shows active performance. Weapons, propulsion, even life support, nothing has failed beyond repair. It's like it has learned to survive every war." The Empire's intelligence began digging deeper. Historical logs, forgotten archives, even intercepted human transmissions were cross-referenced. Slowly, a terrifying picture emerged. This vessel and others like it were not built for normal combat. They were built for survival against impossible odds. They had faced overwhelming forces, fought through attrition, and outlived fleets that should have destroyed them. Every scar, every dent, every burn mark told a story of wars that the galaxy had almost forgotten. "They are not just warships," one intelligence officer muttered. "They are survivors. Machines built to endure extinction-level conflicts." Imperial officers looked at one another in shock. For centuries, they had underestimated humanity. Tales of humans from distant systems had circulated, stories of people who thrived on Deathworlds, who could survive conditions lethal to other species, but now the evidence was clear. Humans were not simply tough, they were relentless, adaptive, and terrifyingly efficient. Meanwhile, the human fleet continued its advance. Smaller craft struck enemy frigates, crippling them with surgical precision. The main ship moved like a phantom, absorbing fire, commanding drones, and orchestrating attacks with unmatched skill. Each maneuver demonstrated not just power, but centuries of battle experience. Imperial officers tried to communicate. "Fleet, fall back. Regroup." But the humans were already 3 steps ahead. Boarding teams attached to key command vessels, disabling systems before the Empire could react. Missiles and energy blasts struck in perfect coordination, leaving no room for retreat. Every strike was a lesson in human military doctrine: eliminate threats efficiently, protect innocents, and survive at all costs. In the observation deck of a Kalari station, alien leaders watched the unfolding battle in disbelief. "They said humans were dangerous," one whispered. "I didn't understand. This is beyond fear." "They do not fight like other species," another replied. "They are not reckless, not overconfident. They are absolute." As the battle progressed, sensors detected more human vessels emerging from hyperspace reinforcements that should have been impossible. Some ships had hulls centuries old, designs considered obsolete, yet still fully functional and deadly. The monster was not alone. It was the vanguard of humanity's hidden war power. Imperial commanders realized that they were witnessing not just a ship, but a doctrine made real. Humans had fought alone in the galaxy before, faced extinction, and survived. Every human warship carried the legacy of that survival, every battle maneuver tested by centuries of conflict. The outer colonies trembled as the human warship and its fleet cleared the path of enemy forces. The monster was not a single vessel, it was history, experience, and sheer human determination made manifest in steel and fire. For the first time, the Empire understood a terrifying truth. This warship was not just a weapon. It was a survivor of wars humanity had refused to lose. And now, the galaxy would witness the cost of underestimating humans. The monster had a history, and it was coming for those who thought they could challenge it. The Galactic Empire had never faced anything like this. Their fleets were vast, armed with superweapons and commanded by seasoned admirals. Yet against the human warship and its fleet, they felt fear like never before. "Form a defensive perimeter," the fleet commander barked. "Concentrate fire on the lead vessel. Destroy it at all costs." Imperial ships moved into formation, capital ships bristling with energy beams and missile arrays. They fired volleys designed to obliterate the human fleet in minutes. The outer colonies watched, hoping the humans could withstand the assault. The first salvo struck. Explosions erupted in space as beams met shields. But the human warship barely flinched. Its smaller craft absorbed hits, repositioned, and returned fire with surgical precision. One Imperial cruiser was shredded before it could react. "What?" an Imperial officer shouted. "How is that possible? That ship should be destroyed." The commander clenched his fists. "They are not normal humans. Every strike we make is anticipated and countered. Focus fire, target the support craft." Missiles streaked across space, energy beams lanced out, but the humans adapted instantly. Damaged vessels moved to cover weaker ships. The main warship adjusted shields and weapon outputs in real time. Boarding teams deployed from broken ships, disabling Imperial vessels from the inside. Kilari observers could hardly believe what they were seeing. "They're playing with them," one whispered. "Every ship they lose seems planned. Every strike they take teaches them something." The Empire pressed harder. Capital ships unleashed superweapons designed to crush entire fleets. The human warship met them head-on, absorbing fire while its drones struck command vessels. The outer colonies remained untouched. Every human maneuver was precise, efficient, and deadly. Imperial admirals shouted orders, but the humans were always ahead. Their tactics were unlike anything in the Empire's manuals. No hesitation, no panic, just relentless pressure and perfect coordination. Inside the human flagship, the commander observed the battlefield calmly. "Hold the line. Protect civilians. Destroy their command," he ordered. His officers moved with quiet precision, activating systems that had lain dormant for decades. Every Imperial attack failed. Every strike that should have destroyed a human ship was absorbed, countered, or rendered useless. Human warships moved as one, forming new formations instantly, covering gaps, and striking at the most critical points. The Empire realized something terrifying. Their conventional tactics could not win. Their firepower, experience, and numbers were useless against humans who fought differently. The humans did not merely fight, they ended wars. "Pull back," one officer shouted. "We cannot continue." The commander shook his head. "It's too late. They will not stop until the threat is gone. Our only option is survival." The human fleet launched a calculated assault on the Empire's main command vessels. Explosions lit the void as enemy ships were disabled one by one. Boarding teams tore through internal systems, and capital ships went dark under the relentless human strike. Even the Empire's superweapons failed. They could not predict human tactics, and their destructive power was wasted against coordinated maneuvers and sacrificial shields. Every attempt to overwhelm the human fleet ended in disaster. The outer colonies, once vulnerable and terrified, were now safe. Human warships had created a buffer, a wall that no imperial weapon could penetrate. Civilians watched in awe, realizing that these humans were not here to conquer. They were here to protect, even at the cost of their own lives. Imperial commanders were forced to admit the impossible. They had underestimated humanity. These warships, these humans, were not just fighters. They were survivors, planners, and executioners of war on a scale the galaxy had never seen. And as the battle raged on, one thought struck every Imperial officer: the humans do not fight to lose. They fight to finish the war. The monster and its fleet were unstoppable, and the Galactic Empire had no idea what would come next. The final engagement began. The Imperial fleet had gathered everything it could: capital ships bristling with weapons, superweapons charged and ready, and command vessels directing the chaos. The humans, however, were calm. Every ship knew its role. Every maneuver had been practiced countless times. They were ready for the final strike. The human warship, the Monster, led the formation. Smaller craft moved like extensions of its hull, precise and coordinated. Damaged vessels pushed forward, shielding weaker units. Every sacrifice was planned. Every move was calculated. Sensors on Imperial ships screamed warnings as human weapons locked onto key targets. Missiles, railguns, and energy beams struck command ships, communication hubs, and supply vessels. Entire fleets faltered under the coordinated assault. The human fleet did not fire blindly. Each strike was surgical, each maneuver designed to end the fight efficiently. Inside the human flagship, the commander watched the battle unfold. "All units, execute final protocol," he said quietly. "End this war now." Reactor cores on several human ships linked. Energy flows synchronized across the fleet. Even damaged vessels were integrated into a single massive formation. Shields flared, engines roared, and weapons hummed with power never before seen in the galaxy. The Empire unleashed its full arsenal. Superweapons fired, capital ships unloaded volleys, and boarding teams attempted desperate strikes. Yet every attack was countered. Human shields absorbed fire, sacrificial vessels blocked critical hits, and boarding teams were met with precise and deadly resistance. Then the humans struck decisively. Linked reactors released controlled energy collapses, tearing through the enemy fleet. Command ships exploded, supply lines vanished, and superweapons failed. The Imperial fleet was crippled in minutes. Silence followed. Where hundreds of ships had battled, only drifting wreckage remained. Outer colonies were safe. Civilians emerged from shelters, staring at the remnants of a fight they could hardly comprehend. Human crews began recovery operations immediately. Rescue teams salvaged survivors from wreckage. Pilots, engineers, and soldiers who had refused to abandon their posts were saved. Humanity had taken losses, but the mission was complete. Every human ship still operational moved to assist the weak, protect civilians, and stabilize the system. A transmission arrived from Imperial Command. Trembling voices spoke words of disbelief. You saved us," they said. The human commander replied calmly, "We didn't come for thanks. We came because someone called." Across the galaxy, news of the battle spread. Recordings of the human warship, the Monster, and its fleet circulated among species. Everyone saw humans refusing to retreat, absorbing fire to protect others, and striking with precision that could only come from centuries of survival and war.